The deadline for most Mainers to file taxes is April 17th.
Maine Revenue Services is introducing a new service to streamline filing and payments. Grace Bradley has more.
You know, taxes are complicated. There's a lot to them, but, trying to make it as easy as possible.
For those who file taxes directly through the state, there's an updated system to help.
The new tax portal replaces our existing systems that were known as iFile and EasyPay. Over time, we had added on many different systems, and we had quite a collection of different systems that integrated together. So this brings them all under one roof. We provide additional functionality like the ability to request their own payment plans, to view their payment history, to set up third-party access.
You could even see a quicker tax refund.
On average, it's running somewhere in the 3 to 5 day time period.
To ease the stress of filing and paying taxes, they say the new portal helps Maine Revenue Services and taxpayers.
We are just like any other employer out there having a hard time, finding people to come work for us. So we have a tremendous amount of work that we need to do, and having technology allow us to be able to do that efficiently and as quickly and effectively as possible. So having the portal available from a taxpayer standpoint is that it's making good use of state resources to make those services easier for us to administer, and also making it available for people of all different walks of life to be able to use the system.
Grace Bradley, WABI TV5 News, Augusta.
If you live in one of 10 Maine counties designated as a federal disaster area due to storms and flooding last December, you have extra time to file your state and federal taxes. That deadline has been extended to June 17th. The tax relief applies to disaster areas in Androscoggin, Franklin, Hancock, Kennebec, Oxford, Penobscot, Piscataquis, Somerset, Waldo, and Washington counties. Affected taxpayers filing paper returns should write Maine flooding across the top of their return.